Hey guys, Mark Lemons here. Happy Friday to you. Hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to talk with you about a framework that I use for a listing presentation. Now, when I get to a client's home, one of the first things I do is ask them to give me a tour. Ask them to show me around so that I can see the home, see all the nooks and crannies, see what's wrong with the home. But really also ask them to brag about their home. Ask them to show it off to me. Tell me what sold them on their home when they bought it. And that's an opportunity for me to see areas that might need to be addressed before we list the home. But then we sit down usually at the kitchen table, and I use a 3-step process to kind of guide our discussion. And those 3 steps, those 3 words are product, process, and promotion. Product, process, and promotion. The product is really the home itself. It's talking about the repairs that need to be done before we list. It's talking about decluttering and depersonalizing that home so it appears as though it is a model home. And so when buyers walk through that home, they're not envisioning the seller's life, but they're envisioning their own. And of course, that's also the staging. That's putting all the junk away and getting it in pristine shape that looks fabulous, which also leads to great pictures as well. And so that's really the product portion. Obviously, that's a longer discussion than what we just had. But you talk about getting that product in the best shape possible so that you can get the best price possible. So the second is the process. And in this, we talk about the pre-listing, all the things that we're going to do. We talk about the contract to close. Once we get offers, here's what's going to happen. Here are our next steps after that so that we can get to the closing table and we can have a successful sale and get them moving along their way into their next home or whatever is next for them. But I also talk about kind of the sales process. I talk about the process that I do that I'm going to reproduce for them to make this a successful sale. Because one of the things I always tell people is that I treat them the way that I would want to be treated if our roles were reversed. Kind of the golden rule, but I use that as part of my sales process to reaffirm that I'm going to be working for them and I'm going to be treating them the way that I would want to be treated. But I'm also touting and pitching to them my success, that the success that I've had in the past, I'm going to reproduce for them for a successful sale. And so that's product, that's process, and then the promotion, really that's the advertising, that's blitzing it out there. That's great pictures, because great pictures do a ton. When 90% of people are looking on their phones or on their tablets for homes these days, you have to have great pictures. So I pay for that. If it's above a certain price point, every time I'm paying for it because it is totally worth it. And so I highly recommend that for you guys. But that's also getting it on the MLS or multiple MLSs so that it can be pushed out to all those websites. Now, I will say also, one of the things that I do is I talk about my brokerage pushes our listings out to about 600 different websites. Most brokerages push them out to about 60, maybe 75 websites. My brokerage, we push them out to 600. So I do tout that in the promotion piece of our discussion with sellers. But we also talk about Facebook. We talk about advertising there. We talk about flyers or mailers if we want to go some old school routes, or if it's a higher end property, I will spend some money on that. But everything that we do in this promotion piece is getting their home in front of the most people possible. Because if we just do the basics and we just do the minimum, then we're not going to put that in front of as many buyers as possible. And so we want as many buyers as possible so that we can create the most demand, because it is, again, it's an economics equation, supply and demand. And so we want it out there in front of as many faces as possible. So product, process, and promotion. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. It's a nice 3 Ps, right? So we can't forget it. But that's my framework for a listing presentation. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you guys next time.